All right, so we're going to do the stance training video, and there's just a couple quick things I'll say really quick. So first of all, basic safeties. Anytime you're going to start any sort of truly fitness exercise, of course you should go talk to your doctor first. Per my death waiver video, please watch it if you haven't. I imagine most everybody has. So this is going to be maybe a half hour, but so it's not very long, but it is kind of an intense endurance workout if you learn how to sink deep in. So you want to, just in case you're going to go for those deep stances or whatever, you want to make sure you have, enough blood sugar for this experience before you do it. And you want to make sure you have some blood protein ideally as well. So, make sure you've had a meal about an hour and a half or so before this that covers complete proteins and carbs. And it's a good idea to have a little snack afterwards as well. Think good complete proteins and some carbs, and you'll be on the right path for a post-workout recovery. Okay, and so the other thing that's really interesting as you explore this as an exercise is this, that the deeper you relax, the less you need. I don't really fully understand why, except that you sink a little bit deeper into your stances when you're really relaxed, and it presses into your stretching. So that flexibility can be really challenged. So do listen to your body. Especially the more deeply relaxed you get, do make sure that you're listening and not pressing in too deep. But having said all that, this is literally one of the very best workouts you can learn to do if you've ever taken serious damage to your legs. Isometrics are a fantastic spot to start. And there really is chunked down as it gets in terms of internal learning, but they are also really gentle. You're not doing tons of reps. You're actually doing one rep and you're just holding it. So isometrics are a little bit different. Now, normally I would do, so I think that's all the safety stuff. Let me pause. I think that's all the safety stuff. One little thought. It's also part of the reason I only recommend 10 to 15-minute sessions twice a day, is because as you're developing this skill set, you can really get really deeply relaxed, be really well aligned, and tear up your battle zone in like 10 minutes of training. And the next day you'll be like, what happened? I've had that happen. Even still to this day, I sometimes have that kind of thing happen where I'm fit enough, but man, you just really relax and sink down in there. You can shred your musculature. And that's truer of the movement Tai Chi exercises, but it's something to bear in mind even with these isometrics. Okay, so I think that's all the safety stuff. Specs stuff. I highly recommend getting on a floor like I've got. I've got lines. I've got this thing pressed against the wall back here as one of my lines, and it's going to be my lift. I'm going to try and set myself so that you can see me. I am not going to be doing as long as a hold as I normally would. I've got a clock there. I'm going to do 1 minute holds, and then we're going to just transition from stance to stance for until we've gotten through them all. 1 minute each. Not including the first one. We're going to take some time to deep relax before we do it. So we'll probably do a 5-minute deep relaxation exercise here in a moment. So it's a good idea. So I was bringing up these lines for a very specific reason. It's especially important in my body, but it's really just as important in everybody's. You're building posture from the ground up when you do Tai Chi exercise as a yoga, because that's kind of what we're working with right now. So you want to make sure you have things well aligned down here as your primary. And so that means when I step out with my right foot forward, I want to later Step out with my left foot forward, exactly the same. And I've got 2 lines here that I'm working with to create the shape that I just made that was exact. So do have that kind of a thing in mind when you're building your posture from the ground up. I think the other safety features of all of them are all in place. As long as you've watched your videos, you should be ready. And we're going to just move through this. Gosh, I feel like I'm forgetting one thing, but I'm not thinking of it. So, yeah, let's do it. Oh, you will see me, for anybody out there who's got a short leg, long leg difference, this is an example of times that I use my lift sometimes. So I'm not going to be taking quite as deep a stance as usual, and I'm only going to be doing 1-minute rounds. I would normally do 10 breath rounds, but my breaths get to be in about 1.5 to 2 minutes long, depending on where I'm at in the workout. So that's a really long set, and I don't want to overly stress us. So I'm just using a 1-minute clock. Let me get the glare off my clock. And we're actually going to start with just, like I said, a 5-minute. We're going to start with this 5-minute basic Uchi stance. Yeah, gosh. Man, I feel like I was going to say one more thing. Isn't it wonderful that I edit these parts out? Okay, well, anyway, we're going to do it here as soon as I see myself at a 30-second. Wow, I still have a glare. Sorry, the sun's shifting behind me, and I just need to deal with this clock just a little bit. One of these days, I might even take to editing videos so you don't have to put up with me. Oh, I was going to say one more thing. Just part of the reason I'm not going to take as deep as stances and I'm not going to do by my breaths is that I've listened back and I don't want you guys to have to hear as I'm, breath and mic and stuff. So that's, by the way, I apologize if there's too much breath. Okay, right here, deep relaxation, center in the bottom of your feet. I'm going to process out loud just a little bit, but not a lot. So I can feel how my body isn't fully vertically aligned. And rather than trying to straighten myself up, I look for the spots that I'm holding tension. And when I let those down, my body straightens up. So as I sit here, I feel the pressure of gravity dropping through my body down into the bottom of the feet and sucking at my fingertips. And as I listen to that continuous sort of waterfall, it reveals to me all my tension patterns. I actually have an inner seeing thing where it looks like dark spots in an otherwise light, energetic body. I caught myself just a little bit off and askew with my head. Got my eyes closed and I can't see super well there, so you'll probably see some of my mistakes, and that's okay. resting everything downward, feeling my breath in the dantian. As I set the energy, the tensions in my hips down, man, I feel like it starts to feel like I can't even lift my legs at all. That's exactly where you want to be for this. As I drop the tension in my hips down into my feet and into the earth, more and more it's like they become one. I can feel as my hip sways a little with my breath. I feel that in an exactly one-for-one sensation on the bottom of my feet. I can feel a lot of extra tension in my shoulders and neck. And that's okay. It's by listening and observation, gradually some of that stuff starts to unwind rather than me specifically releasing the tension. The tension patterns dissolve as I rest. So we're going to do our next stance here in just a moment. Basic Wuchi from the center. Extend the spine downward and upward simultaneously. Your arms should float up rather than being lifted up. Ischial tuberosities, that's your sitting bones, pointing straight at the ground. I'm just doing my best to rest in this posture. Got a lot of extra activity in my right shoulder today. Just set it down. Next posture, move straight sideways. Rotate out. Only as far as you can open this hip here. Everything else stays square. Release back to center. Check your feet. Straight sideways. Rotating open. I'm just a little against this bench, so I gotta change my angle a little. Sorry, guys. Unwind back to center. Set the ball down. Check your feet into lifting hands. With lifting hands, you should be able to lift that front leg up. I say lift because it's on the air, but it's really a matter of sinking the extra weight down if you want to be smooth. So I have to check the timer every so often here, but you want to keep your head straight on face. So come to here. This is part of why it's better to do the breathing exercise to do it, so you don't have to mind a timer. So you'll notice on this crippled side, if you're watching it all, it takes me a moment longer to actually sink down so that I can lift up that foot. And I lose a little bit of time, not quite as far over there. Honestly, who cares? This crippled leg, give me a break. And I also tend to drift. I just caught myself drifting forward a little. So sinking back, it should be easy to lift that leg. Drop. Final one-legged routine. And switch. So, word to the wise, a deeply relaxed down weightedness is actually easier to maintain your balance in this position. So what I mean is focusing on the bottom of the foot is a little bit easier than focusing on the belly. You got to really maintain a connection to that earth to maintain your balance. Okay. So I like to do them in this order for the reason being that it allows for a little bit of, I do the more flexible requiring ones first. So this brush knee twist actually requires a little bit more flexibility in the hips and spine. So I do it first. And the first one I did, rotating off to one leg, requires a lot of flexibility in that coxal joint to really get fully there. So just food for thought. That's just my way of doing it. You don't have to do it that way. Now, if you're in a wide enough stance, don't lose your connectivity here. Move your belly out. Just like in that first section movement, for those of you who have watched the TY Pang form and are figuring it out, or right after the brush knee push, sometimes you go all the way forward. May as well take that moment and do the technique. Same thing, move your belly forward. Finish the move. Next stance. And just do the single whip here. The single whip always sinks back to release in the Yang 108. So, sink back, open the hand. And the next one, we'll do what's called either ward off or pung, depending on how you're working things. It's really helpful to keep your mind in your center as a primary most of the time with solo exercises. I mentioned at the bottom of the feet when you're one-legged, and there's other times when being one-legged or when being on the bottom of your feet is going to be better. mostly here as your primary is going to do you good with your solo exercises particularly. Start working with people, and I swear the bottom of that foot becomes a lot more important. Let's see, I don't think I forgot any stances. So we're going to just do a horse stance at the end to return to symmetry. 2 shoulder widths apart, roughly speaking. Nice and even. Hips as low as they can go. Staying straight up and down. Knees should be hip, knee, toe in a nice alignment at about that angle. And release. Come back to our first Wu Chi. Gather yourself and relax, release. Knees slightly bent. Return to the 4 principles of center, relax. It's easy to come up as we're exercising. And here's what I want you to see if you can feel. I feel more put together. The word blocky almost applies. It doesn't, but it almost applies, like I got put into like I was stacks of blocks and somebody's just kind of straightened my Jenga pile. You might not feel that the first time you do this set, but I would encourage you to play with this set until you feel that at least. So maybe do it once a week or whatever. Stance training really can help put the body back together. Like I said, right now I feel it's the right word, I'm not sure, but just better aligned. Okay, deep relaxation for just 1 minute. Really see if you can feel that. Yeah, I also feel taller and straighter. My hands are warmer, my feet are warmer. Okay, so blink your eyes open. I would definitely recommend playing around with this a number of times until you feel that. I have found a lot of value in stance training. I sometimes question how much is the correct amount. Proportionally, I mean, should I be doing it more? Should I be doing it less? I come around to the Wu Qi position the most as a way of dealing that in part. So for what it's worth, you don't necessarily have to go through the entire stance training session. You can just work on those Wu Qi stances. Work up a 10-minute horse stance. You're going to develop some flexibility and strength doing that. I think you want to learn to work up to about an hour just doing the Wu Qi, the upright Wu Qi stances, both of them ideally, really. And those patterns will create the tendon changing that is the very most important for Tai Chi Chuan. So I would definitely emphasize that. The best tendon changing tends to come from relatively static postures. And then when you get to the point when you can hold a static posture and it feels super light and soft and relaxed, instead of like, oh, I'm still trying to get everything together and I'm holding myself up and stuff, maybe popping a vertebral body back into place. When you get there, you're going to have accomplished a lot in terms of really developing proper internal technique. So I highly encourage it. Have a go at it. Next time that you do it, add this piece. And just, well, you might find that you can't do it right away, but you want to do it a bunch of times until you're ready, and then add this piece. The piece is this. You're trying to drop your breath down into your dantian, and we're going to talk about that more carefully here in the coming weeks, but as you drop your energy down there and learn to align there and learn to move from there, all of these things, you're going to start to have this sense of like there's a dot sphere that inflates and deflates. That is your actual dantian. You actually have to build a dantian. It appears to be an electrical charge to my intellect. There's a huge lumbar plexus of nerves down here, and I cannot help but believe that you can learn to develop and hold an electric charge based on this experience. So that's, and we'll talk about how to develop that bit by bit, but we're going to be looking at a lot of those kinds of details in the next series. But for now, I want you to focus on the quality of this thing filling you up and going away as you inhale and exhale. And learn to listen to your breath through your whole body from that spot. Right? And I'm really exaggerating, of course, but that's kind of the next step. So you want to work with this stance training set until you've got your alignment in place, and then you want to add that breath, and you really want to get that breath in place. And you'll know you're getting your alignment in place when you're starting to feel what I was trying to talk to you about, that blocky, but not blocky. It's fluid, but it's more aligned. I don't know how to describe it except to say that you're definitely more aligned and you feel a little bit taller. Yeah, I think that's everything to be said. So happy training.